Testing 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. Guys, you have no idea how many times I've had audio issues with this setup and how many times I've had to re-record clips because the audio sounded terrible. So hopefully this works right now. I've been monitoring my audio with these headphones and I can see myself right here on my iPhone that I'm like broadcasting from the Sony to the phone with. It's not a perfect setup. I know that this lighting's not ideal, but it's gonna get the job done. And so today, what I wanna do is go through how I digitize my film in Negative Lab Pro. So I think 2 or maybe even 3 months ago, I made a video all about how I scan my film with my DSLR camera or my mirrorless camera, and then I process it in Negative Lab Pro. So if you want to see exactly how I scan everything, I will link that video up here in the top right or left hand corner. I'm not sure which one. I'll link that there if you want to see how I scan my film, but right now I'm going to walk you through the newest version of Negative Lab Pro and exactly how that works. So all these pictures that I'm about to show you are from a trip to California that I went on, I think 2 or 3 months ago at this point. So when I go on vacations like that, I typically like to wait a solid month or two before I get my film developed because I take a whole bunch of digital photos at the same time, and then when I have film photos that I get to see like 2 or 3 months later, it allows for me to kind of like relive that vacation and have a ton of fun going through those photos as well. So that's what we're going through today. I think I have 7 or 8 of them that are my favorite photos, and so I'm going to take you through the entire process of how I have the negative image and I turn it into a positive using Negative Lab Pro. So it's extremely easy, and I'm going to walk you through that right now. Alright, so I wanted to create this video because rather than just showing you my images that I got in California, which I wanted to do anyways, I figured I would show you exactly how I process them in Lightroom with Negative Lab Pro so that you can learn something to go along with it and decide that maybe Negative Lab Pro is the right software for you and it might be something that you want to digitize your film negative. So without any further ado, let's jump into Lightroom right now and I'll show you exactly how this works. So on the bottom pane right now, you can see I have, I think, 7 or 8 images in there that I'm going to digitize right now. And so I'll show you exactly how this works. So what I'm going to want to do is open up this tab on the right-hand side. And the first thing that you have to do is crop down on the image. And so luckily, I shot these on a Canon 5D Mark IV. So it's already the right aspect ratio. It's the exact same aspect ratio as a full frame negative. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is crop down on it like this so that you leave a little bit of the film strip to the side. And then what you're going to do is take your white balance dropper and you're going to click on the outside of the film where it's not exposed. It's just the standard part of the film. And that's going to get the white balance correct for you so that you can then digitize the negative. So once you have Negative Lab Pro installed, which I don't think I walked you through in my last video, but I give you a link to it in my last video. I'll give you a link here as well to Negative Lab Pro. It's super easy to install, but once you have it installed, what you're going to be able to do is hit Control and N, and it's going to open up this pane that I need to pull into here. It opens up this pane, and it gives you a couple of default options. I leave these all just at the standard options. So it's a DSLR scan. I'm going to use the Frontier color model. Pre-saturation, leave it at 3, which is default, and then border buffer is 5%, so meaning that it will not analyze the outside 5% of the frame because I left a little bit of the film border on there. So hit convert negative and then give it a couple seconds. Sometimes you have to click on this menu in order for it to fully finish, and boom, you have a converted positive from your film negative. And I, to be honest, don't see any problems with this whatsoever, so I'm going to leave it completely like that. I'm going to hit apply, and then those changes are completely locked in. If you scroll down here, you can see if you go into the Rgb Tone Curve that the software uses some special methodology to reverse the tone curve in the red, green, and blue sliders, which gives them the ability to turn the negative into a positive. Super complex. I don't understand how any of that works, but it does it automatically for you, so we don't have to worry about it. Jumping into the next photo. Actually, just to comment on this photo really quick, this is El Capitan in Yosemite National Park. And so I was standing kind of in front of this river, just shooting straight up at El Cap, and it's a beautiful sight. We woke up at like 5 o'clock this morning to get out there for sunrise. We got there a little bit after sunrise, but it was perfectly fine because we were still able to catch the light kind of coming over the mountain and then reflecting off of this part of El Cap, which I think they call the Dawn Wall because in the morning, the light reflects off of it like you're seeing right now. I got another super cool photo right here of El Cap as well. So same process. We're going to crop it down, make sure that it's perfectly straight. Let me get a little bit closer. I need to like minimize my frame in the top left-hand corner of my 5K iMac because my screen recording software isn't capable of recording the entire 5K screen, so I have it like shrunk in the top left-hand corner. So I got to get a little bit closer to it to see it. But all right, so now that I have it cropped in, do the same thing with the white balance dropper, Control and N, and we're going to convert the negative. So this image right here is super cool. It's actually the reverse of this previous picture of El Cap. So I shot at El Cap, and then I looked down right at the river in front of me and shot the reflection of it. So what I would do if I had a little bit more time today is I would rotate this like this so that it was upright. And then I would go into Photoshop and flip it horizontally. I'll show you exactly what that looks like right now, but I don't want to walk you through it. That's a separate tutorial for a different day if you guys want to see that. But I did edit this actually like that, and I uploaded it on my Instagram already. So I'll show you guys exactly what that looks like right here, but that came out super cool. I was super happy with that. And the one thing that I do need to comment on is just how great Negative Lab Pro renders colors. If you know anything about digitizing film and you've used things like Color Perfect and different pieces of software, you know that there's a lot of modifications that need to go into changing the colors of your film before you can export it. You know that it doesn't necessarily render the film colors automatically super nicely. However, Negative Lab Pro in this new version 2.0 upgrade does a fantastic job of rendering colors, and honestly, I almost never make any adjustments to the colors after the just instantaneous adjustments that Negative Lab Pro makes. So moving on to the next picture. So this is actually, believe it or not, in the exact same spot that I took those two previous photos. So this is a different mountain. I'm not entirely sure what it's called, but when I was shooting at El Cap, if you were standing where I was standing, you look straight to the left and you see El Capitan, which was the previous two photos, and then you turn to the right and you look down the river in the different direction and you see these three mountains. I think they call them the Three Sisters or the Three Brothers. I'm not positive on that. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what they're called. And by the way, I just realized that I've been staring at my microphone the entire time rather than staring at my camera because I repositioned the microphone to right there. So sorry I haven't been making eye contact with you guys, but I'm kind of doing this off the cuff, and I hope this helps you guys out, or at least you find it interesting. But again, we're going to follow the same process here. Control and N, convert negative. It's going to render out the colors super quickly, and I'm almost always positive that the colors are going to render out perfectly. Yeah, that's just beautiful. I mean, I cannot complain at all about how this renders colors. Decrease the brightness maybe a little bit to get a little bit more contrast, and I think that that's perfect. Hit apply, and that one is a done deal. Moving on, so this picture right here was at the very end of one of the big hikes that we did when we were in Yosemite. So we did this hike called, I think it was called Yosemite Point, and you basically hike from the bottom of the valley all the way to the top of Yosemite Falls, and then you hike an additional mile to the top of what's called Yosemite Point. It gives you this unbelievable viewpoint. But this picture right here is me, Tony, and Joey just kind of cooling off in the river at the top of Yosemite Falls because it was like 100 degrees out that day. And I'm not in the greatest shape ever in terms of hiking and conditioning and things like that. So I was absolutely dying, like on the verge of heat stroke. So thankfully, this river was there and we were able to jump into it and cool ourselves down for a little bit before finishing off the hike. But yeah, I wanted to show you guys this photo because I wanted to show you just how well Negative Lab Pro renders skin tones. So if I hit apply and I zoom in on this, you can see that I mean, obviously this is Portra 400 film, which does a great job of rendering skin tones as well. But Negative Lab Pro in particular, when you're scanning with that software, it does a fantastic job of rendering skin tones. Honestly, 95% of the time when I take pictures of other people using this software, I don't have to do any additional editing to make skin tones look natural. It just looks great straight out the box. So I think I have one more example. And what I wanted to do here was show you how you can use the sync scene functionality of Negative Lab Pro. So say you have two images that were taken in the exact same spot, like these two were, and you want the colors to come out exactly the same. Negative Lab Pro, when you analyze the images separately, oftentimes it will have slight differences in the white balance and things of that nature. So if you want to do it completely the same, what you do is you select the first photo that's already edited to the colors the way you want to do it, and then you'll hold down Shift and click on the second one. When you're in the library tab right here, hit Control N, and then all you have to do is click on this button right here, Sync Scene, hit Apply, and you'll see that automatically it matches the color profile of that previous image, and it does a fantastic job of matching the colors. So now that that's analyzed, I can crop in on it, and you obviously notice that you don't actually even have to crop it when you're using that functionality. So say you took 36 pictures, you took a full roll of film in the same room, maybe at a studio or something like that. You can just edit that first photo the way you want it to look, and then you can sync the scene across the rest of those photos, and it does a fantastic job of helping you to edit super fast with film. And then obviously you got to crop all of them yourself. I'm not going to do a perfect job here for the sake of time, but again, look at the skin tones on it. It's fantastic in terms of rendering those skin tones, and yeah, I'm super happy with this software. So the next couple pictures I have are not from Yosemite, actually. This one's from San Francisco, which was part of the same trip, but it was just the first part of the trip. So we flew into San Francisco, and then we drove out to Yosemite National Park for the last couple days of our trip. And so I got obviously a ton of pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge. I've already uploaded a couple of them on my Instagram page, but this one right here, I love the way that Portra 400 renders landscapes even too. It does a great job, obviously with portraits and skin tones, but just the colors of it period across just about any subject matter, especially when analyzing it with Negative Lab Pro, comes out fantastic. I mean, straight out the gate without any additional edits. I've already looked at this picture, so I know how it looks. If I hit apply, looks awesome. I mean, you can see the gold tones in the sky from the sunset, the blue tones in every picture with Negative Lab Pro. I mean, not with Negative Lab Pro, but Portra just look awesome in the water and in the sky. I love that shot, and I think I'm probably going to upload this one on Instagram as well. It's going to be my third picture of the Golden Gate Bridge in like 10 weeks, but whatever, that's fine. All right, these last two photos are of my friend Tony, just kind of to show different ways that Negative Lab Pro analyzes photos. So this one right here is actually a silhouette. So we were watching the sunset over Half Dome and sitting on this like mountain ledge, and I turned to my left real quick. He was sitting right next to me and snapped a photo of him. Didn't really think anything about it at the time, but I really like the way that this one came out. So when you hit convert, it does the same thing as usual. Wait a couple seconds. And as you can see right here, there's a lot of like grain and dust and stuff on this picture. So what I would do in this situation is I would go through it and I would use the spot removal tool to remove all these spots. If I just do a quick job right now, it does a pretty good job. I mean, you would obviously pay more attention to this if you were actually uploading this copy of it to Instagram. But the one cool thing I wanted to show you with this photo is when you're shooting with your DSLR camera and you're scanning, and then you use Negative Lab Pro, you can actually use or leave the film strip on the sides of it. So that's what I did when I uploaded this picture to Instagram. I cropped it in a 1x1 formation, just like this, and so you could actually see the film strip on the top and the bottom, and I think it gives it a really cool look with just the silhouette, and then you can see Kodak Portra 400 on the top and the bottom with all the film strip. I think that that's a really cool look, and particularly when you're scanning with a DSLR, it does a really great job of doing that. And I will link below the film scanning mask that I use for this. I believe it's the Lomography Digitaliza scanning mask. I'm not positive on that. Don't quote me, but yeah, I'll link that below in case you want to get this same look. Essentially how it works is it clamps down on the film just on the edges so that you can still see all of the film strip on the top and the bottom. So it's a really cool look. And then lastly, the final photo of the day is one that I took when we were driving up and down Route 1, which is basically the highway that runs up and down the Pacific coast in California. Super cool drive. It was beautiful. That was my first trip ever out to California, and so we drove probably like 5 or 6 hours up and down the coast, and we're snapping pictures left and right. This isn't my favorite picture in the world, but I just kind of wanted to wrap it up with this to show you exactly how it renders colors in different kind of scenarios. So if I finish it up and hit apply, you can see that Negative Lab Pro and this method of scanning just does a fantastic job of rendering colors. Anyways, guys, I wanted to create this video because the last time that I uploaded a video about Negative Lab Pro, a lot of people expressed a ton of interest in that piece of software. It seems like it's a piece of software that's kind of blowing up right now in the film photography community. Tons of people are switching over to it from things like Color Perfect and different sort of film digitizing softwares. I love this piece of software. Now with the version 2.0 upgrade, I think it's 2.0, maybe it's 3.0. I'll write it here so you can confirm that. But with the newest version of the software, it makes the color correction on it so seamless, so easy. With older versions, you had to tweak some of the dials to make things look natural, but as you can see, if you enable auto color on this thing, it does a fantastic job, and I highly, highly, highly recommend this piece of software. I absolutely love it. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap this thing up here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. It helps out the channel a ton. It helps for more people to see this video and for me to continue growing the channel. Thank you all so much for the support. I think that we are maybe already past 1,100 subscribers at this point. I'm actually filming this about a week before it's getting uploaded because I have to shoot a wedding next weekend, and I don't know if I'm gonna have time to create a new video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did and you wanna see more from me, hit that subscribe button below, and I'll plan on seeing you next week. Peace.